finding angle measures and side ratios to determine if two triangles are similar. All right, so that's a nice long title there. So they say consider triangle ABC and triangle DEF shown below. They're actually giving it to you in the corresponding order. So pay attention to that because it does actually make things a little easier in a minute. So they give it to you again down here. So it says answer the following questions. Triangle ABC, we have angle A is 30 and the measure of angle B is 75. And then they say in triangle DEF, the measure of angle D is 30 and the measure of angle E is 75. So they're actually showing you A and D correspond, which they were the first two, they should. And then B and E, which are the second two letters in the naming of the triangles, they also correspond by being the same amount. And they want to tell, okay, what's left over? All triangles, every triangle you've ever seen, adds up to 180 degrees. So if we just subtract what we're already using for one triangle, don't do it for all four. One triangle is A and B, the other triangle is D and E. So we're using, let's see, 105, because I have 75 plus 30. Right, if I add these together, I get 105. I'm going to subtract. I have 5 and 7, so I have 75. So this has to be 75 degrees here for both, because it would be the same subtraction for both of them. So I know that both C and F have to be 75. And then it wants me to go through it and use a ruler. So this will actually make a little more sense on the next page. We're going to use a ruler and we're going to measure each one of these sides. We're going to type in what they equal. And then for this last part, it says find the following ratios, write your answers in simplest form. So we're literally going to just type in for A, B, and D, we're just going to type in the two numbers we found in a ratio or a fraction. And we're going to do that for each one. So it'll make a little more sense on the next page because I actually can show you the ruler tool. As long as all the angles were congruent and all these ratios are exactly the same, then the triangles are similar. So you just have to choose. There are 3 pairs of statements below, and you for each pair, select a true statement. So the angles and the triangles have the same measure, or they do not. So you choose they do or they do not. The ratios of the corresponding sides are equal, or they are not equal. So we have to choose. And then if we choose yes on both of these, then we would choose yes, the triangles are similar. If you choose no on either one of these, you have to choose no down here. So we just have to choose the correct one. All right, let's go ahead and start. And so we have triangles ABC and DEF. All right, so then we're given 28 and 28 for A and D, and we're given 76 and 76 for B and E. So we know that the angles are going to match up because they all have to add up to 180 degrees. And I just have to subtract what I'm already using. So I'm already using 28 and 76, and I know I wrote that upside down, but it's okay because it's plus. So I'm going to add, and I'm going to get 9 and 10. So I'm going to subtract 104. And I get, I'm going to cross off the 8 and 10. Let's see, we get 6 and 7. So we get 76 for both of these angles. 76 and 76. And then we're going to use a ruler here to see how long they are. So if we want AB first, so I have A, and then I can swing it around. So I clicked on A, and then I can swing this around, and B. If you notice it gets cut off a little bit, if you click on B and then swing up to A, then it doesn't cut it off as much. So that looks like 8. So I'm going to go with 8. And then I'm going to go DE. So I have D to E. And that looks like 12 to me. So let's go 12. And then I'm going to go with B to C. That looks like 4. And E to F. So that looks like 6. C to A. So it looks like 8 again. And one more here. So it looks like F to D, which looks like 12. So even they are using some of the same numbers here, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be that way. So now down here, what we want to do is in simplest form, write our ratio. So we have 8 to 12, but that's not necessarily the simplest ratio, is it? Because 8 and 12 can both divide by 4. So 8 divided by 4 is, whoops, not 3. Dang it, I did the bottom. 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So when we type it in here, we want to make sure it's the simplest ratio. So we have 2 and jumped over there. The next one. Don't want 3 here yet. All right, BC. So we have 4 to 6. Remember, we have to reduce it. So I don't want to write 4 and 6. I actually want to make sure I write it completely reduced. So 4 over 6, they can both divide by 2. So I get 2 over 3. So I'm going to write 2 over 3. All right, my last one, again, I have 8 over 12. We already did that for the first one, so we know it's 2 over 3. So my angles did match. I'm going to choose the first one about they did match. Make sure you read it. Sometimes they might flip-flop it. The ratios of corresponding sides are equal, so this triangles are similar. Check. Yay. All right, so we're going to clear this, and we're going to do 2 more. In triangle ABC, we have angle D, or angle A equals 30 degrees, and angle D equals 29 degrees. So those are different. So that this right away tells me I can actually go to the bottom here and already click they're not going to be similar because the angles don't match. So I know the angles don't match, and I know they won't be similar. I'm going to need to see if the ratios are similar. I'll be surprised if they are, but we still have to check it because we have to fill all this information in. So when I go through and do this, I have 30 and 64. So I have 4 and I have 9. I have to subtract from 180 to see what's left over. So I have 7, I have 10, 6, and this would give me 8. So for angle C, I have 86. It's not going to be the same for angle F because I have 29 and 47. So I have to do a separate calculation for those ones. So if I add 29 and 47 together, I get, let's see, 16, 6, 7. So I get 76, and I have to subtract that from 180. So these angles are not the same. I have to do different calculations for these. So I end up with 4, 0, 1. So these are fairly different angles here. And then down here, I still need to do my measurements. So A to B, that looks like 10. I'm going to type in 10. B to C, that looks like 5. It doesn't necessarily matter what order you go in. You just go through and do it. So C to A, I'm just deciding to do all the same one. 9. All right, so then I have D to E, and that looks like 4. F to E, that looks like 2. And F to D, whoops, I gotta click on it. That looks like 3. All right, so now we want to put this in simplest form. We still want them to be in ratios, but in simplest form. So 10 to 4. So A, they're already in the order that you want them to be in. So it says AB to DE. If you notice, this is AB and DE right here. So we're going to write 10 over 4. We just need to make sure it's reduced. I can divide both by 2. So I want to make sure, that I type it in as the reduced fraction there. So I have 5 over 2. BC is already reduced 5 and 2. And then this last one, I have, click this one. So I have 9 over 3 for this last one here. So I can divide by 3 on the top and the bottom. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. I do believe they will let you just write 3 on this one. So we're just going to type in 3. So these are not the same. So I'm going to click not. All right, so we got that one. Okay, one more here. So we're going to go through, and this one, it does look like we're back to matching. So we have triangle ABC and DEF, and then we have 18 and 18, 51 and 51. So that tells us we're only going to have one calculation for subtracting from 180 to figure out what's left over for each of these two angles. So 51 and 18. So we have 9, we have 6. We're going to subtract from 180. So we get 1 and 1 and 1. All right, so each one of these is going to be 111 degrees. All right, so we need to use our ruler in the next part here. So I have A, B, which is 12. I have B, C. Oop, I can't read that, so I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to go C to B, so that's 4. And C to A, I get 10. And let's see, DE, get 6. And let's see, get, looks like 2 to me. Let's go here, 2. And FD is 5, I believe. All right, so now we want to make sure that we write them in simplest form. So remember, this first ratio are these first two. So I'm going to go 12 divided by 6, and I get 2. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the next one here. So that's this one down here. So I have 4 divided by 2 is 2 again. And then I'm going to go in blue here. For my last one, I have 10 divided by 5 is 2 again. So each one of these ratios, we don't have to write 2 over 1. We just write 2. I'm going to scroll down. So the angles did match. The angles in ABC have the same measures as the angles in DEF. The ratios of corresponding sides are equal to each other. So the triangles are similar. So let's check. And yay, we finished another one. Clear and next.